Welcome to Pearsall Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're here for another Monday mini-sode.
Yeah, our Monday minis are where we get an opportunity to talk about one thing for a shorter amount of time. But if you like our content, you like our style, even if I'm a little glitchy right now, my internet's acting up. But if you like what you hear, you like this kind of content, we have a long-form podcast that lasts for well over an hour. If you want something to listen to while you're driving, while you're sourcing, while you're listing your items, check us out anywhere you get your podcast and needs met, or like and subscribe on YouTube because all of the content goes there as well. And today we're talking about something a little spicy here. And look, we're honest as resellers here. We've never said like you have to stay in eBay. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe there's reasons to leave. We haven't ever said that eBay can never work and that, you know, it's impossible. There's a spectrum, right? Like there's ways to make it work and there's ways that maybe it's time to leave. But we're going to be talking today about 10 of the worst reasons we hear people leaving eBay. We don't think any one of these single items is a good reason to leave. And so we'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comment section. Let us know. Did we miss something? Do you disagree? Is one of these enough to leave eBay? Why or why not? So Orlando, what's the first one here?
All right, before we get started though, this is part one of two. So we're gonna have two mini-sodes of this. Just because I think it's gonna take us some time. I do want to shout out 1 Foot Flipper on YouTube. This idea came from, he did a video. He's a great reseller, has great content, and he basically went into, there's just like this eBay forum, and it like the beginning conversation was like, I'm leaving eBay after 20 years and here's why. And like people were commenting. And so when I'm looking through this, you know, I'm like, what? Like, seriously, you're leaving for this? And I posted on Instagram, like, don't be soft. And a lot of people got upset because they're like, well, you should be able to leave, you know, if you want, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever. Okay. Listen, these aren't legitimate reasons, right? So,
well, I want to qualify by saying it just one of these alone is probably not enough. Now, it may come to be that like your specific situation, several of these factors weigh in, but a lot of times it's like people get triggered off of one thing and they pull the trigger and they leave. They're done. They give up too soon.
I'm saying all of these combined are not a reason to leave. So
that's obnoxious.
Okay. All right. So first one, we hear it all the time, right? eBay fee, right? Feebay, right? I'm leaving eBay because the fees are too high. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you are buying something. Let's say the average person goes to a garage sale. They are posting it on a platform that reaches over 150 million people, not only in the United States, but worldwide, right? And so eBay is allowing this opportunity, right? They're charging you a fee, right, to do this, but they're giving you access to all of this over and over again. Because if you try to run your own eBay store, and let's say you try to, you know, Mike's our Russ, okay? He starts his website. He'd be paying so much money in eBay ads. It would take him so much time to get the following, but yet you can go on a platform. And yes, are eBay fees higher? Yes. Do you have to pay promoted listings? Yes. Do you have to pay extra fees if you try to do dynamic ad rate or, promoted listing events? Yes. But in the end, the opportunity you have, to me, outweighs the negativity of higher fees. What thoughts on this, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. I don't know if we could go back and forth on all of these and be super nuanced. We might have to go on another podcast, on one of our long forms on that. But yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true that just high fees alone, you got to consider, like, if this was a brick and mortar, you're going to be having lots of different fees that you're probably not dealing with now. So yeah, it's just the cost of doing business. Can they continue to increase the fees to the point where you're no longer profitable or it's not worth your time? Yes. So that's where I would say.
But I think that's on the buyer. That's on the seller. I mean, like, if the
not
fees are too much,
necessarily.
You're paying too much. You're paying too much for your inventory.
No, sure, but I mean that's a lot of factors you can't necessarily control. So like, yeah, there may be times when it's on you, but like if you're running your business, you're like, hey, currently I make roughly $30 an hour doing eBay the way I do eBay based off the stuff I sell. They increase the fees a certain way in categories that you're in, and now all of a sudden you're down to $25 an hour based off of the way you're selling. It just might not be worth it for you anymore. So again, I'm not saying that that's
Nah,
the case all the time.
Find your stuff for cheaper.
I mean, that sounds amazing, Orlando. Like, just find your stuff for cheaper. That's great advice. Hey, if you want to make more money, make more money. You know, like
buy low and sell high. That to me, anyways. So you're saying we can't go back and forth. I think we can go back and forth, but
we're on a timeline here though, so I don't know how far, because we could talk about this.
We're trying
one
to keep
just
this
long
a
enough.
mini-sode. That is true. That's true. All right, what do you think of this next one? eBay favors returns.
I mean, so yeah, if the complaint is just that like you're gonna have to do returns, and they favor sellers who offer returns, offer free returns, or at least offer 30-day returns, which is what they want. Yeah, that's a bad reason. I think that the reality is that's the expectation now, and I think that there's a fear that if you do returns, you're gonna have tons and tons and tons of them. That's not the case most of the time. You may have a handful of returns. It may eat into your profit, but I think the experience most people have is that you turn on returns, your sales will increase more than the total amount it's going to cost you in returns. Now, again, depending on the types of items that you sell, it could cripple you. Like we've talked about that with Amazon. If you're running a business where your margins are slim, but you're moving a lot of inventory, all it takes is a handful of returns and it's crushed you, right? So you've got to be selling in a way where you can handle the returns. We've talked about that on previous episodes as far as like what items you should be picking up and sourcing. But yeah, that's it's just the industry standard now. And I think there's a fear, like I said, that I turn on returns, then 20, 30, 40% of my sales are going to be returns. And that's simply not the case. I think the return request, and in fact, the benefit is you're probably going to have fewer INADs, fewer fake INADs when you turn on returns.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, so this next one, we did a whole episode on this, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. If you haven't checked what did you title? Your thumbnails are next level. It's funny because like the last one, I just titled it, what did we title it? Something like "There's sunshine around the corner," and our thumbnail said, "Sales will explode in Q4."
You were talking about atomic bombs. Oh, so don't tell me.
You're right.
Don't tell me I went too far.
You're right. Okay, but this one said like, what did you say? You must do eBay ads. You know, something like. And so, listen, we've said this. I think we've harped on this enough, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But eBay's pay to play, right? If you want to make that sales and eBay is saying this is what we're doing to stay viable, to continue our business, like we want you to do promoted listings to separate yourself from the competition. Like to me, that's a choice you need to make as a business, especially if you're full time. Like to me, it's not enough for me to leave, right? And actually, I do have the option of saying no to promoted listings. And there's some awesome people. Auction Professor, he doesn't do promoted listings. And guess what? He's super successful. So to me, it's saying, oh, eBay, the promoted listings, I can't handle it. I'm out. Like to me, that's not enough. So if you want to hear more about this, you should go to our episode called "You Need eBay Ads Now." That's what it's titled.
Next one is negative feedback. You know, you get a couple negative feedbacks, and there's a lot of reasons people kind of will rage quit for this. One thing is like it could impact your store, right? You get a couple of negative feedbacks. You have maybe it's just the feedback itself is negative, and that could hurt you in the algorithm, or you have a defect along with the negative feedback, and if you're unable to get that removed, that could legitimately hurt your store. It could lower your. I mean, eBay says it in their policy that at certain defect level, they'll lower your store, they'll lower you in the search, they will reduce the amount of like you can't do promoted listings or offers. Like it could have a negative impact for sure. But I think most people aren't leaving because their actual numbers have been impacted because of that. I think a lot of times when people leave for this, it's because they get their feelings hurt, right? It's like, I know I sold something good. It was good quality, and they left me negative feedback and they lied about me, and I've had this too much. I'm done. And again, I don't think that's a great reason to quit. Because that's just part of doing business. You gotta be able to have some tough skin when it comes to that kind of stuff. And again, imagine your Walmart or your Target or your Amazon, right? Like somebody comes, an upset customer comes in there screaming and yelling. the Walmart as a company, the CEO isn't going and like putting his head down in bed going, I can't sleep tonight because people don't like me. Like they just deal with it. It's just part of it's business. They're able to separate business from personal. And so you got to do the same. It's not worth getting upset because a couple of people, and again, remember, there's crazy people in the world. There are people who are going to write the craziest things. They're going to lie about you. And every time I go to the grocery store or I'm just out and about and I look around and I see somebody and I'm like, that's a weird individual. Like there's clearly some weird stuff going on with this person. I just remember like that could be my eBay buyer. And so if they leave me a negative feedback, I don't really care about this person's opinion, right? So when you think about it that way, it helps.
And again, it doesn't have to be the end. You can still counter it. You can still, this is why I say offer for returns. This is why I say have good metrics, because eBay is still willing to work with you on that one. And the interesting thing on that video from One Foot Flipper, you guys check it out, 8 reasons that people leave eBay. All the people that wrote like these long things about why they left eBay, he went to their stores and their stores are still selling. Like they're still selling stuff. So they decided to leave maybe temporarily. I don't know. It was just kind of interesting, but I don't want to steal his thunder. You should go check out his episode there. All right. And this next one, because I want to keep this a mini-sode, having to upload your ID. It's this one's a strange one to me. I understand being uncomfortable with it, but if you want to lease something, if you want to buy a car, you want to get a loan, you want to, do anything that is substantial in your life, like you have to submit your ID, right? The only place which is, I don't want to get into it, but the only place you don't have to is if you vote, which I think is kind of odd. But if you want to run a business, think about if eBay didn't like have people upload their IDs, like they would be more prone to counterfeits. They would be more prone to people trying to just offload a bunch of junk real quick and be out, right? But if you have to upload your ID, I think that gatekeeping is a good thing. I think that keeps people safe when they're buying, right? You have to own up, right? You can't just sell counterfeit goods. You can't just sell, stuff that's trash and just leave. Like now your stuff is on file. And so to me, it's just part of business. I don't know. Do you see a flaw in what I'm saying, or are you good with this one?
No, I think that's good. Next one is reporting your taxes, which...
Oh, let's leave that to the next one. Are you okay with that? Okay. I said I wanted to give you a mini-sode.
Oh, so you're saying we're done?
Yeah, we're done. We're done. Tune in to part 2 next week.
Gotcha.
All right. And with that being said, hopefully you don't leave eBay. Make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
Be reselling. Late.
Peace.